Namaste, everybody. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita launch. My name is Sandi Graham. I'm the CEO of VASA Publishing and co-director of VASA, the Vedic Academy of Science and Arts. We're here today not only to celebrate the launch of our new title, The Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive, translated by Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi, but also to celebrate the people around the world who made this moment possible. It was 10 years in the making, and today we're going to tell you why. We're very grateful for our friends who are online, our esteemed guests, and our sponsors, and we want to share this moment with you. My co-host today is Satish K. Sharma. He's the General Secretary, National Council of Hindu Temples in the UK, and chair of the British Board of Dharmic Scholars. He's a theologian, a Hindu philosopher, and yoga acharya. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Satish Sharma as our co-host for this auspicious occasion.
Pranam, namaskar, and greetings to everybody. Thank you so much, Sandi, and Kavindra ji, namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
16th of October, 5561 BC. A phrase was heard for the first time, and it strikes me as being a suitable occasion to start our proceedings with the same expression, Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. It's an immense honor for me to be able to host this incredible event. And I'd just like to set the context in which many striking moments in Indian history occurred. Whenever a meaningful conversation between people of wisdom and of learning and seekers and teachers occurred, it's written in our scriptures that the heavenly celestial beings, the devas, they would all come to that gathering and sit in silence, awaiting to listen to the nectarine words that gurus and shishas would exchange. And so I'm sitting here looking at a small screen, but I'm aware that all around the world, we are being accompanied on this journey by a gathering of people who I feel are devas and devis. And so their blessings, I think, are going to be gratefully received to propel this incredible Gita Comes Alive translation, this radical interpretation that Jeffrey G has issued.
In Sanskrit, there's a term for someone who speaks the truth reliably, consistently, and eloquently, and it is Pandita. It is someone who is the clearest channel for this amazing truth that we're also very hungry for. As you can imagine, my journey began. There's a mantra to the guru that I always like to begin with. My journey began in what I would like to call the darkness of not knowing, in a civilization full of, in some ways, very sincere people, but could I call them in terms of wisdom, very young. And so in spite of often sincerity of purpose and hopefulness that they would do something useful, it was still devoid of some vitamin that I was automatically seeking from a very young age. It was only the gurus and acharyas from India, from Bharat, who finally fed me this nectar of higher wisdom and truth that satisfies the deepest hunger of our personal being. So the Sanskrit mantra to appreciate such gurus is Omagana Timirandasya Ganangana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was blind and I really could not see, and at my request, my gurus forced open my eyes with the torchlight of divine Vedic knowledge, Vidya. This happened to me multiple times, from my professor of Sanskritam, Ramanath Sharma, from my guru of Jyotish, M.K. Gandhi, from my Vedanta guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, from so many great acharyas. This hunger has been fed. Before that, like much of my companions in the Western world, feeling this deficiency, I studied philosophy, got a degree in psychology, English literature, poetry. I was struck very much by the French existentialists who, after the destruction of World War II, spoke very eloquently about our dilemma as individuals in an often crazy world. And a gentleman named Kierkegaard wrote a book whose title sort of says it in one sentence. It was called Fear and Trembling, the Sickness unto Death. What are we afraid of is the philosophical question. What is this dilemma? And what is remarkable is that the Vedic knowledge is not a religion, though religions are wonderful, having some wisdom in them. Wherever there is wisdom, we Vedics bow and say, oh, wonderful, you have some wisdom. But it's addressed differently. You're supposed to join something. But the Vedic Vidya does not want us to join something. It wants us to enhance something. And that is our individual existence. It wants to empower us to such a degree that we have a direct connection to the highest understanding. So in order to make this clear to us, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the avatar of the ultimate and supreme reality, appeared in our midst, arranged an amazing geopolitical situation in the country we now call India. And with a cast of millions, set up a context in which to speak to us in a very concise conversation. On the eve of a battle, have we got your attention? In the midst of a most beautiful culture, a remarkable civilization, full of wonders and beauties in every direction you look. But in the midst of this, the human condition was still present. Our possibility for being as evil and destructive as we can be. Duryodhana, the one who is a dirty fighter. And his opposite, Yudhishthira, one who is steady in truth and dharma in the midst of every struggle and situation, and shows love and compassion and wisdom for all living beings. On our worst day, we can become Duryodhana. On our best day, we can be Yudhishthira. The question is, can we take charge of that process and consistently represent the highest truths? This is our existential dilemma. And so, Bhagavan Sri Krishna spoke to Arjuna, essentially an essential yogic user's manual that is brief, concise, covers all the important topics, says everything that everyone needs to know to perfect their own individual existence on this amazing journey that we're all on. And this namaste means I see you are an amazing being on that journey too. And we offer this to every living entity to encourage them and to say to them, I see you. You're amazing. You've signed up for this. Now, if you'd like, we could share secrets. We could share truths. We could share dharma. We could get to the very essence of everything and try to use our individuality to cooperate together for the well-being of all the living entities on this amazing planet. We could do that together. In fact, we cannot do it alone. Alone, we can only do little bits of it. But look what it feels like when we come together like this. What if, instead of becoming hateful in our political selves, what if we have the hunger for truth and desire and the well-being of the maximum beings. So for sure, this is the intention, purpose, and meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. It is not a religion. You cannot join it. But you can do it with millions of people. But you must do it. And you must do it because your hunger is to live as a truth teller, as a truth doer, as someone whose actions reflect their thoughts and ideas, and as one who cares about the well-being of every living being, who sees them all in their magnificence and inspires that to come out. So, without going too far down this road, I just want to say to you that when this wisdom was given to me, I was so grateful that I had to find something to give back. As a matter of fact, I found there was really no other thing in this world that inspired me than to do something with the gift of this wisdom that I was given. When I first met my guru in 1969, because I had been a lit and English and poetry major, he gave me the task of helping to translate the books he was bringing into English. I knew no Sanskrit. I knew nothing of what I was really doing. I was making his translations as reasonable and readable as possible. But over the ensuing years, I came to see what was obstructing us from hearing Bhagavan. And this eventually emerged 10 years ago as the project to remove all the language from the presentation of the conversation between Bhagavan and Arjuna that might obstruct it, obscure it, distort it, or be incorrect to its meaning. And so, by that time, Sandi and I were together and teaching full-time in the world, but this became my greatest hunger, her greatest hunger, that this knowledge could become so clear that everyone could make it their own. And for this reason, I have not made explanations or purports. There's no lineage particularly to this translation. It is an effort to present it as if the reader is simply present as the third party in their existential dilemma, present and fortunately listening to Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna discuss the most important truths of existence.
Can you imagine somebody speaking a conversation that is so important that 7,000 years later, people are still wanting to hear it?
And so my beloved and I have conspired together to simply do this little bit of service to clear this in English, because English is affecting so many people right now for obvious reasons. Sadly, because of colonization, but India, Bharat, is such an amazing culture. As soon as the colonization had taken almost everything, had flattened the economy, damaged the culture horribly, they said, wait, you forgot something. And their gurus like Vivekananda and all of the great acharyas who came here came across with, my guru had $5 and a suitcase full of books when he got here at age 73 in cold New York with no jacket. And each of these great acharyas stood and started to speak, and the world listened. When Vivekananda spoke at the World Conference of Religions in Chicago, the silence was a stunned silence at the truth of what he had said. And the applause was the realization that the gift of wisdom was Bharat's response to being almost destroyed. Here, you forgot the crown jewels. I was given those crown jewels from the hand of an acharya. from the hand of someone who only lived to embody that vidya. Each of these examples that I have seen now in the 50 years that I've been practicing this culture have shown me by their personal example the existential dilemma changes when you are not afraid, when you are an immortal being and you know it. When you behave with concern for all living entities, you don't have to write the ending, it's already written. All you have to do is be true. So what Sandi and I finally saw together, partly because of our love story, because we found a way to do this together with our mutual abilities, is that yes, in some ways the Mahabharata is couched in a conflict, but it is actually a love story. Please don't call the Mahabharata conflict a war, because in wars we kill women and children and innocents and we destroy civilizations. That is not what happened in the past. A bunch of soldiers from two viewpoints got on a football field and killed each other, and the farmers nearby were safe. The farmers a quarter mile away were safe. This was not a war. This was a conflict to get our attention from Bhagavan, the ultimate being, speaking to our proxy, Arjuna, whose amazing partner Draupadi, together with he, are the ideal exemplars of human perfection. This, my beloveds, is a love story, couched in the midst of a conflict. And through it, we are being invited to become wise, fearless, kind, truthful, to live a healing and healthy life for the whole planet, and show and teach by our personal examples. You cannot join this, but you can decide to be this. And it is our hope that the Bhagavad Gita comes alive just by being clear enough will let you have this three-person conversation with Bhagavan and Arjuna and go into the chambers of your heart and decide who you are and what you want to do with being here. I think I'm going to stop there. Thank you all for listening.